The massive silver ship hung above Earth like a judgment from the gods themselves. Inside the United Nations building, world leaders sat frozen as the holographic figure of Commander Vex materialized before them. His species, the Galactic Council, had ruled the stars for 1,000,000 years. "Humans of Earth," Vex began, his 4 eyes scanning the room with cold precision. "We have observed your species for 100 of your years. We have reached our verdict." President James Miller stood up slowly. At 60 years old, he had seen many crises, but nothing like this. The alien commander continued without pause. "You are denied entry to the Galactic Federation. Your species shows too much violence, too much chaos. You fight among yourselves. You destroy your own planet. The universe has no place for such beings." The room erupted in whispers, but Miller raised his hand for silence. "What does this mean for Earth? You will be quarantined. A barrier will be placed around your solar system. No human will ever leave. No technology will be shared. You will live and die on your dying world alone." General Roberts, a tough military man with gray hair, slammed his fist on the table. "You can't just lock us in like animals." Vex's expression didn't change. "It is decided. A barrier will activate in 30 days. Use this time to accept your fate." The hologram flickered and died. In the silence that followed, something unexpected happened. President Miller started to laugh, not a laugh of madness, but one of determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, looking around the room at the confused faces. "They just made the biggest mistake in galactic history." Dr. Anna Wilson, Earth's leading physicist, understood immediately. "They think we'll give up." "Exactly," Miller nodded. "But they don't know humans. When someone tells us something is impossible, what do? We prove them wrong," General Roberts said, a grim smile forming on his face. "Within hours, every scientist, engineer, and innovator on Earth received the same message. The universe said no. We answer with yes. Report to your nearest research facility immediately." In a small garage in Texas, mechanic Tom Davis looked at his daughter Lisa. The 12-year-old was building a robot from spare parts, oil smudging her cheek. "Dad, are we really going to be trapped forever?" Tom knelt beside her. "You know what your grandpa used to say? Humans are too stubborn to know when they're beaten. We'll find a way, kiddo." Across the ocean, in a Tokyo laboratory, Dr. Ken Tanaka stared at his quantum equations. His assistant, young Mike Chun, brought him coffee. "Professor, the energy required to break such a barrier would be impossible to generate." Tanaka smiled. "Then we make the impossible possible. That's what humans do." In Moscow, engineer Ivan Petrov gathered his team. "Forget everything you know about physics. We're going to rewrite the rules." In Cairo, programmer Sarah Ahmed began coding. "If we can't break their barrier, we'll hack it." The news spread across Earth like wildfire. Instead of despair, something else emerged: unity. For the first time in human history, every nation, every religion, every person had the same goal. The petty conflicts that had divided humanity for millennia suddenly seemed insignificant. Street artist Maria in Brazil painted a mural, Earth breaking free from chains, reaching for the stars. Children in schools started science clubs. Grandmothers shared meals with scientists, telling them to eat while they worked. The whole planet transformed into one massive research and development laboratory. Commander Vex watched from his ship, confused. Why are they not despairing? His lieutenant responded, "Unknown, Commander. Their activity has increased by 400%. They appear to be excited? Impossible. No species has ever resisted the quarantine verdict." But Earth wasn't just any species. In labs, garages, universities, and even kitchens, 7 billion minds turned to a single problem: The rich funded research. The poor volunteered for experiments. Children suggested wild ideas that sometimes worked. 20-9 days passed. Tomorrow, the barrier would activate. President Miller stood before the world. They said no. They said we're too violent, too chaotic. But that chaos? That's creativity. That violence? That's passion. That's drive. Tomorrow, they lock the door. But we've got the key. We just need to build it. The universe had spoken its verdict. But Earth hadn't finished talking yet. The barrier activated at exactly midnight. Greenwich Mean Time. A shimmering wall of energy surrounded the entire solar system, invisible to the naked eye, but very real. Every probe that touched it disintegrated. Instantly. In the Global Science Center, hastily built in Nevada, Dr. Anna Wilson stared at the readings. It's using our own physics against us. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. The harder we push, the harder it pushes back. Tom Davis, the mechanic from Texas, had been recruited to the engineering team. He might not have fancy degrees, but he understood machines better than anyone. So we don't push. We do something else. Like what? Asked Dr. Tanaka. Tom's daughter Lisa, who had special permission to be in the lab, raised her hand. What if we don't try to break it? What if we go around it? The room fell silent. Dr. Wilson's eyes widened. Out of the mouths of babes. She's right. We're thinking in 3 dimensions. What about the 4th? Mike Chun jumped up. Time. We don't break through the barrier in space. We skip past it in time. That's impossible, someone protested. General Roberts, who had become the military liaison, chuckled. That word again. I thought we banned it last week. The idea spread through the facility like electricity. Within hours, every physicist on Earth was working on the same problem. How to move through time to bypass space. Meanwhile, Sarah Ahmed in Cairo had made a discovery. The barrier has a frequency. Everything has a frequency. If we can match it, we can phase through it. Finished Aven Petrov over video link from Moscow. 2 different solutions. 2 different teams. But humans didn't put all their eggs in. 1 basket. In secret underground bunkers. Other projects ran simultaneously. Project Phoenix attempted to upload human consciousness to energy forms. Project Rebellion tried to communicate with other quarantined species. Project Mirror worked on reflecting the barrier back on itself. 3 months passed. The Galactic Council watched with amusement at first, then confusion, and something approaching concern. Commander Vex, his lieutenant reported. The humans have increased their technological advancement by 2,000% in 3 months. Impossible. It took us 50,000 years to develop barrier technology. Sir, they're not following normal development patterns. They're skipping steps, making illogical leaps that somehow work. On Earth, something beautiful was happening. The businessman in New York worked alongside the farmer from Kenya. The soldier from Russia shared ideas with the teacher from Canada. Every barrier between humans had fallen because they faced a bigger barrier together. Tom Davis hadn't seen his garage in months, but he didn't care. He was part of something bigger. His daughter Lisa had become the unofficial mascot of the science center, her innocent questions often sparking breakthrough ideas. Mr. Tom, Dr. Tanaka said one day, your daughter asked why we can't just make our own universe. I laughed at first. Then I did the math. Tom looked at the equations covering the board. He didn't understand the symbols, but he understood the excitement in Tanaka's eyes. You're serious. If we can't leave this universe, we make a pocket universe. One without barriers. One where we make the rules. 6 months after the barrier appeared, President Miller called a global meeting. Every human on Earth watched. My fellow humans, we have options. Not 1, not 2, but 17 different ways. To beat this barrier, some might work, some might not, but we're going to try them all. In space, Commander Vex received an impossible report. Sir, the humans are broadcasting a message. Play it. President Miller's voice filled the bridge. To the Galactic Council, you gave us 30 days to accept our fate. We've had 6 months to reject it. You said the universe has no place for us, so we're making our own place. You said no. We say yes, and we're coming to prove it. Vex felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Doubt. His lieutenant spoke quietly. Sir, their energy readings are off the charts. Whatever they're building, it's beyond our understanding. Impossible. They're primitives. We're primitives. Sir, we're. On Earth, in thousands of facilities, millions of humans worked on the impossible. Children drew pictures of humans among the stars. Artists created visions of the future. Musicians composed symphonies of hope the universe had built. A wall. Humans were building a door, and they were almost ready to open it. Asterisk. 1 year after the barrier's activation, something unprecedented happened. It flickered dot for just 0.003 seconds. The impenetrable wall that surrounded humanity's solar system showed weakness. Every monitoring station in the Galactic Councils, fleet-screened alarms. Commander Vex stood rigid on his bridge. Analysis, now. Unknown energy signature, Commander. It originated from everywhere on Earth simultaneously. On Earth, Dr. Anna Wilson collapsed in her chair, exhausted but triumphant. We did it. Project Harmony worked. The plan had been simple in concept, impossible in execution. Every human on Earth, all 8 billion, had acted in perfect synchronization. At the exact same moment, they had all thought the same thought, directed the same energy, pushed with their minds toward the same goal. Freedom. Tom Davis helped Dr. Wilson to the medical bay. You need rest, Doc. Rest later. Freedom first, she mumbled, but allowed herself to be led away. Lisa Davis, now 13 and officially the youngest consultant in human history, presented her findings to the assembly. The barrier responds to consciousness. When we all pushed together, it couldn't calculate a response to 8 billion simultaneous inputs. General Roberts nodded. So we can crack it, but we need everyone working together. Not just working together, Lisa corrected. Believing together. The barrier reads intent. If even 1% of humanity doubts, it won't work. This was the real challenge. Not the science, but the human heart. President Miller initiated Project Unity. Every screen on Earth began showing the same content. Stories of human achievement, of impossible odds overcome, of dreams made real. Children learned about the Wright brothers, who were told humans would never fly. They learned about the moon landing, achieved with computers less powerful than a modern phone. But the Galactic Council wasn't idle. Commander Vex deployed psychological warfare. They sent messages of despair, showing civilizations that had tried and failed to break quarantine. They showed the vast empire of the galaxy, trying to make humanity feel small. It backfired spectacularly. You want to make us feel small? Maria, the street artist from Brazil, spray-painted on a wall that was broadcast globally. We split the atom when we were barely out of caves. Feeling small makes us grow bigger. Sarah Ahmed in Cairo had been working on decoding the barrier's core programming. What she found changed everything. It's not just a barrier, it's a test. The Global Council convened virtually. Sarah presented her findings. The code has markers, like checkpoints. Each time a species pushes against it, it records the attempt. No species has ever reached checkpoint 7. We are at checkpoint 6. What happens at checkpoint 10? President Miller asked. The barrier reveals its creator's identity. Silence fell across the connection. The Galactic Council hadn't created the barriers. They were just the administrators. Dr. Tanaka spoke first. So someone is testing the entire galaxy, seeing which species are worthy of what? Only one way to find out, General Roberts said. We reached checkpoint 10. The revelation transformed humanity's approach. This wasn't just about escape anymore. It was about passing a test that the entire galaxy had failed. Ivan Petrov in Moscow made the next breakthrough. The barrier has a weakness. It can't process paradoxes. If we create an action that has no equal opposite reaction, we break physics, Mike Chun finished. We break physics, we break the barrier. The solution came from an unexpected source. A 10-year-old boy in India named Raj sent an email to the Global Science Center. What if we don't move at all? What if we make the universe move around us? It was absurd. It was impossible. It was brilliant. Dr. Wilson, recovered from her exhaustion, ran the calculations. If we can make Earth exist in two places at once, even for a nanosecond, the barrier won't know which Earth to contain. Quantum superposition on a planetary scale. Dr. Tanaka whispered. It's insane. It's human. Tom Davis grinned. 18 months after the barrier appeared, humanity stood ready for their biggest attempt yet. Every nuclear reactor on Earth had been converted to quantum generators. Every computer linked into one massive processing network. Every human mind prepared to think as one. Commander Vex watched from his ship, no longer confident. They're going to try something. All their energy signatures are aligning. Should we warn the Council? Vex was quiet for a moment. Then, surprisingly, he said, no, let them try. I want to see what humans can really do. The countdown began. In 10 seconds, humanity would either prove the universe wrong or destroy themselves trying. But that was human nature. All or nothing. Asterisk, the countdown reached 0. For a moment that lasted eternity, and no time at all, Earth existed in two places. Every human felt it, a strange pulling sensation, as if reality itself was stretching. Then, with a sound that no recording device could capture, but every living being heard, the barrier shattered. Not cracked. Not broken, shattered into a trillion pieces of light that rained down through space like cosmic snow. Commander Vex's ship shook violently. Alarms screamed on every Galactic Council vessel. But Vex himself stood perfectly still, watching his displays with something approaching. Oh! Checkpoint 10, his lieutenant whispered. They reached checkpoint 10. Across the galaxy, ancient systems that had slept for eons suddenly awakened. On dead worlds, monuments began to glow. In the vast emptiness between galaxies, something stirred. On Earth, Dr. Anna Wilson stared at her screens in shock. We're receiving a transmission. But it's not from the Galactic Council. It's from everywhere. The message was simple, broadcast in every language that had ever existed. Finally, someone passed. A figure materialized in the Global Science Center. Not a hologram, but something more. It looked human, but its eyes held the depth of eternity. Hello, humanity. We've been waiting for you. President Miller stepped forward. Who are you? We are the first, the ones who came before. We created the barriers not to imprison, but to test. For millions of years, we've waited for a species that wouldn't accept limitations. Lisa Davis, brave despite her youth, asked, why? The first. Smiled. Because the universe faces a threat. Something from outside reality itself. We need warriors who can think beyond possible, who can break rules that shouldn't be broken. We need species who say yes when existence itself says no. And we passed your test? General Roberts asked. You didn't just pass. You exceeded every parameter. Most species try to break the barrier with force or technology. You broke it with unity, creativity, and sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. You turned your entire planet into a quantum computer. You made children part of your think tanks. You made art as important as science in your solution. The being gestured, and star charts appeared showing the true scope of the universe. The Galactic Council controls less than 1% of our galaxy. Beyond them lie wonders and horrors they can't imagine. And beyond our universe. The image shifted, showing something that hurt to look at. A darkness that wasn't just absence of light, but absence of existence. The void, it consumes realities. It has already devoured 3 universes. We've held it back, but we're failing. We need help. Tom Davis, practical as always, asked, "What can humans do against something like that?" You just did the impossible. You broke a barrier designed by beings who transcended physical form billions of years ago. You did it in 18 months. Species usually take millennia just to understand the barrier exists. Dr. Tanaka raised a crucial point. What about the Galactic Council? As if summoned, Commander Vex's hologram appeared. But his bearing was different. "Humbled humans of Earth," he began. "We owe you an apology. We were not judges, we were jailers. And we didn't even know it." The first nodded. The Council believed they were protecting the galaxy. In truth, they were another test. A species had to not only break the barrier, but do so despite active discouragement from supposedly superior beings. "We failed that test ourselves," Vex admitted. "When we were quarantined, we accepted it. It took us 100,000 years to earn our release through compliance. You earned yours through defiance in less than 2 years." President Miller looked around. The room at his fellow humans, scientists, soldiers, artists, children. So what now? The first extended its hand. "Now you choose. Join us in the real fight. Help save not just this universe, but all universes. Or remain on Earth, safe but limited." Before Miller could respond, voices rang out across the planet. From every city, every town, every home, the same word. "Yes." The first laughed, a sound like stars being born. "I expected nothing less from humanity." Sarah Ahmed asked the practical question. "What do we need to do?" "First, upgrade your technology by about 1,000,000 years. Don't worry, with your learning curve, it should take about 6 months." Everyone laughed. It was absurd. It was impossible. That it was perfectly human. Asterisk. 5 years had passed since humanity shattered the barrier. Earth was unrecognizable. Cities floated in the air, powered by energy pulled directly from space-time. The moon had been converted into humanity's first stellar shipyard. Mars bloomed, with genetically engineered forests that could survive in any atmosphere. But the real change was in humanity itself. Lisa Davis, now 18, stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the Never Say No. She was Earth's youngest admiral, commanding a fleet that defied every law of physics the Galactic Council had ever known. "Status report," she commanded. "Void incursion detected in Sector 7. 3 Council worlds under threat." Her lieutenant, formerly General Roberts, reported. He'd refused retirement, saying he wasn't about to miss humanity's greatest adventure. Jump in 3, 2, 1. The ship didn't move through space. Space moved around the ship. A human innovation that even the first found remarkable. They arrived to find council ships retreating from a growing patch of nothingness. The void was expanding, erasing star systems from existence. Commander Vex's voice crackled over communications. "Human fleet were overwhelmed. The void adapts to every weapon." Lisa smiled. "Good thing we don't use weapons." She turned to her crew. "Initialize Project Paradox." Dr. Anna Wilson, now head of humanity's reality engineering division, began. "The sequence. Remember, everyone. The void consumes what exists. so we're going to attack it with things that don't. It was insane. Instead of firing weapons, humanity's fleet began broadcasting impossible equations, paradoxes made real, ships that existed and didn't exist, energy that was simultaneously positive and negative. They threw contradictions at the void, and the void hesitated. For the first time in its eternal hunger, the void encountered something it couldn't consume, because it couldn't understand it. How do you devour something that isn't there but acts like it is? It's working. Vex couldn't hide his amazement. Stage 2, Lisa commanded Dotton Davis, now Earth's chief engineer, activated his invention, launching the maybe bombs. Containers. Shot toward the void, each containing Schrödinger scenarios, weapons that were simultaneously active and inactive until observed. The void tried to consume them, but consuming them meant observing them, which made them explode. Not consuming them meant they remained a threat. The void began to shrink. Across the galaxy, beings watched in awe as humanity did what the first, with all their transcendent power, couldn't do. Confuse the void into retreat, but Lisa wasn't done. Dr. Tanaka ready? The old professor, connected to the ship's consciousness systems, nodded. Project Hope is go. Instead of pressing the attack, humanity's fleet began broadcasting into the void, not weapons, but messages, art, music, stories, of redemption, of second chances, of light found in darkness. What are you doing? Vex asked. The void isn't evil, Lisa explained. It's empty. It consumes because it has nothing. So we're giving it something. It was the most human solution possible. They were trying to befriend the universe's greatest. Threat, the void pulsed, contracted, and then ... responded. A signal came back. Confused, curious, lonely ... President Miller, watching from Earth, spoke to the first. Your tests, your barriers. They were looking for warriors. But humans aren't just warriors. We're diplomats, dreamers, and really bad at accepting things as they are. The first's expression was unreadable. You're trying to rehabilitate the void. Why not? We rehabilitated ourselves. A species too violent and chaotic for the galaxy became its protectors in 5 years. The signal from the void grew stronger. It began forming patterns, copying human art, trying to communicate. Sarah Ahmed, now Earth's chief communication officer, worked frantically. It's learning. The void isn't a destroyer. It's a child, consuming everything because it doesn't know what else to do. Over the following months, humanity did the impossible once again. They taught the void to create instead of consume. They showed it how to make stars instead of devouring them. They gave it purpose beyond hunger. The galaxy watched as the greatest threat to existence became its newest guardian, guided by a species that had been deemed unworthy just years before. Commander Vex visited Earth, standing before the United Nations. We locked you away because we feared your chaos. We never understood your chaos was your strength. You don't just break rules, you make new ones. President Miller shook his hand. The universe told us no. But that's the thing about humans. We don't take no for an answer. Not from you, not from reality, not even from the void itself. The first appeared one last time. The test is complete. Humanity, you are now the teachers. Guide the galaxy as we once did. Where will you go? Lisa asked. Beyond. There are other universes that need to learn what you've taught us. That impossible is just another word for challenge. As the first faded away, humanity stood at the threshold of infinite possibilities. They had gone from quarantined species to galactic protectors in less than a decade. The universe had said no. Earth had answered with yes. And in doing so, they had rewritten the very meaning of possible. Asterisk.